What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Caught Stealing, Fantasy Alarm's Fantasy Baseball Podcast. I'm Howard Bender. With me, of course, is Colby Conway. If you're watching on the YouTubes, we appreciate it very much. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff that goes along with it. And if you're just listening wherever you get your podcasts, well, Colby's got the sexy voice, not me. So, Colby, what's up, man? How are you?
Oh, doing better than my fantasy teams. We'll leave it at that.
This is, you know what I feel like this year? This is the year where I feel like, you know, that marriage counselor who's been divorced 5 times himself.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, This has just been a very cruel and unforgiving year. It's been a very cruel and unforgiving. What is your latest? Damn, my team really sucks.
The latest, my team really sucks.
What's the calamity, Colby?
How about in TGFBI? I basically every week have to go into it saying, am I starting Kyle Stowers or Alexander Canario? That's what I'm going into every single week. And God forbid if one of them gets injured, I don't have a lineup. So we are fighting for scraps. But I feel like my TGFBI team is like, I got Jacob Misiorowski off the fab this week. So I have him. But now it's just like I have a Corvette sitting in front of like a dumpy trailer because my team sucks, but I got the flashy new toy. And that's what I'm celebrating. It's all curb appeal here. The house isn't good, but the car looks good.
It's kind of where I'm at also. Labor, NL only. I picked up Misiorowski as well. Felt good about that. Obviously, you know, spent a bunch of money on him because it's NL only. And of course, what happens? I pick him up and Rafael Devers lands in the National League. I'm like, wah, wah. I picked up, what was that kid, Dane Myers in Miami, the center fielder. Picked him up in FSGA because I'm like, all right, I'm not going to win the FSGA league. So it's about not being relegated.
Yep.
So movable category, stolen bases. So I pick up Dane Myers because he's got some steals. He's going to be playing every day in center field. What happens on Monday? He gets plunked on the elbow, and now he's out.
Yeah, it's a crazy year. That's all I can say. You know, coming into the year, we got like Matt McLean was someone that you and I like. The power and speed is nice, but the batting average sucks. What do I see today over on Prize Picks? More or less on 3 fantasy points. Now, let me remind you over there, a single is 3. I took it. Apparently I'm the sucker. I took it today, and right now I think he's over, or he walked. So of course he's at literally the only thing that you can do that's less than 3 points over there. A walk or a hit by pitch. What does he do his first at bat? Draws a walk, doesn't steal. Now I'm sure he'll have 3 dinky little pop-ups to close this game out. But what a year.
191 on the season. Like, what is that? What is that?
This is like the power and speed is nice. It's almost like Zach Geloff from last year. It's like, I'm just going to completely ignore every other statistical category except for the power and speed and tell myself I got a good player here. When I kind of don't. But that's neither here nor there.
It is neither here nor there. I don't know where the hell it is because it's friggin' horrible, without a doubt. But let's talk about what's going on around MLB because you know what? Listen, just because we're getting decimated with lousy plays and bad luck and injuries doesn't mean you are. So we are here to help. Let's talk about some of the top news that's going on around MLB. And I mean, you gotta start with the Devers trade. Like, real interesting here because I'm very confused by what the GM Jim Bowden was saying on the Fantasy Alarm show. Because beforehand, what we were getting was, yes, it totally sucked that the team didn't let Devers know that they were bringing in, that they were going to sign Alex Bregman and that they wanted Devers to move position. So they handled it poorly there. And then Devers turned around and was like, I don't want to play first base. I don't want to be a DH. Like, that's not what I want to do. That's not why I signed this long-term extension, blah, 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 blah. Right. And sort of became like a little bit of a clubhouse problem. So the trade happens and I'm like, well, I mean, you don't make a trade that bad for a guy like Rafael Devers. I mean, you did it with Mookie Betts. You did it with Chris Sale. Like, strike 3? Like, come on. Like, how do you not like do that, and they come away with nothing. So I'm like, well, you've already said it, right? Guy's a pill in the clubhouse, so you want to just get rid of him, and whatever. They made that. Devers comes out with his first press conference, and he says in San Francisco, he's like, I'll play wherever you want me to play. You tell me where to go, and I'll go. Like, and now all of a sudden, like the GM has changed his tune as to whether or not Devers was a problem in the clubhouse because he didn't want to move positions. He's still saying now it's all the Red Sox fault, it's the organization's fault, and it's their kind of mistake. So whatever. I mean, that aside, that has nothing to do with the fantasy aspect. What does have to do with the fantasy aspect is what are we doing with Devers in San Francisco right now? I mean, obviously he's a must start, but like, what's your take on him over there? He's going to play third base while Matt Chapman is out. And then what happens? And is he moved just to DH and first base and he's totally fine with that?
Perhaps. I mean, as a fantasy manager, I don't really have much Rafael Devers, but at this point, I would hope get a couple of starts at first base and just give me a little lineup flexibility. I think at that point, that could be something that we could hope for. But in terms of just the pure move heading over there, he's going from a top 3 park for left-handed power to a bottom 4 or 5-ish, essentially is what's going to happen. So I do think the power is going to get dinged a little bit. By no means is Devers his offensive profile is not propped up by Fenway. He's a good enough hitter. There's enough power in the tank. He wasn't a product of Fenway. He's going to be fine. He is going to lose out a couple of home runs. The San Fran lineup does have some interesting pieces if they can all ever hit well at the same time. It always seems like it's 1 or 2, and then the other 5 or 6 kind of stink. So I think when Chapman comes back, Chapman's just such a good defender. He's going to have to play third. I think Devers is going to have to look to first or to probably be a DH for them. I'm going to look up here first base stats for the Giants on the year. But if you look ahead at the schedule this weekend, it is Red Sox Giants.
Right.
What,
oh, yeah.
Wouldn't it be fitting if he says, hey, for Friday night, put me at first base? Or maybe for the whole series, he says, you know what, screw him. I'm going to play first base, just be a team guy, whatever it might end up being. The one interesting thing, too, that I want to throw out there is I saw Jeff Passan had it's not a tweet anymore, a post. But Craig Breslow basically just said that he thinks there's a real chance at the end of the season, quote, we're looking back and we've won more games than we otherwise would have. Maybe they have some stuff that will planned up their sleeve. Maybe there's excess money now that they're going to go out there and instead of paying Devers $25-30 million, they're going to get a deal and do it with somebody else. Just feels really weird. That quote to me almost seems like he's trying to sell himself on the move that was made. I love Kyle Harrison. Don't get me wrong. I love that kid. I think the talent is there, but I have a hard time looking at this deal, at least for 2025, and saying, hey, our team is better as a product of this move. And I don't think anybody would argue that.
I mean, I don't think he's selling it to himself. I think he's got a plan or he's got an idea. I mean, in all honesty, I do think that Devers was a prick in the clubhouse. I really do. And listen, you could say Red Sox management started it. They could have come to him and said, hey, this is what we're doing. We're signing Bregman. You're going to move, right? And the moment that he said no, you turn around and you say, I don't give a shit what you say. You're moving to first base. That's it. If you don't move to first base, we can put you on the restricted list and you can go take a seat and not make any of your salary. We don't give a shit. But this is the move that we're making. And, the fact that they didn't just kind of rip the Band-Aid off and say it to him like that, he probably was sitting there, like a pain in the ass in the clubhouse. I don't doubt that at all. I'm not going to sit there. And Breslow is sitting there now, and what he's saying is just to appease the fan base. Because,
Sure.
I mean, the fan base is what they're coming after him with torches and pitchforks right now. Like I said, the trade of Betts for virtually nothing, the trade of Sale for virtually nothing. They're saying that of those 3 trades, the best prospect the best player they got back was Tibbs, this minor league prospect that they got back in the Devers trade. But I mean, listen, to me, Rafael Devers saying, play me wherever you want. You're it's your team, right? I think that's a dig at the Red Sox. I think that's a direct dig at the Red Sox, and he is going to be a dick about it, or he was being a dick about it. So I think all parties are, whatever. But yeah, let's, we could just kind of move on from that, because I mean, I don't know. I'm just more frustrated by all of a sudden everybody's giving Rafael Devers a pass for everything that happened. And I don't think you should. Like, I'm sorry, but if you were thinking team first, you would have moved and just shut the hell up.
And it's one of those things too, where if let's say that is the case, which I'm not arguing that it isn't, if that's the case, then I think there's a 95% chance we see him at first base on Friday night in that opener against Boston, because that would basically be the last double bird out the door of, screw this, watch me go to my new team, play first base and dominate for the year. Giants first baseman, 6th lowest WOBA in all of baseball. So it seems like if everything is healthy for San Fran, their ideal lineup would be probably Devers at first base, but we'll probably see him DH a heck of a lot too.
I'm looking at what they've got right now going into the lineup. Now, Colby and I are recording on Tuesday night here. This is Robbie Ray versus Slade Ciccone, the right-hander. Jung-Hoo Lee leading off. Willie Adames batting second. Devers third, and he's DHing. Heliot Ramos is batting fourth. Dominic Smith, the lefty, in there at first base. Casey Schmidt at third. Yastrzemski, Fitzgerald, Knizner.
So maybe, Dom Smith playing first is because it's going to be a righty on the mound. That's pretty much why he's playing first. So I wonder, the next time they see a lefty, is it going to be him? And let's see here as we're looking for that weekend series against Boston. No, they're slated to throw 3 righties. So don't think we'll see that. But Boston is an off day Thursday. If we can get a rain out or something to happen that pushes Garrett Crochet back, we would see Crochet Friday at San Fran, which would be a lefty, which would take Dom Smith out of the lineup, could pave the way and be the imperfect storm for Boston, for old Boston, quote unquote, great Rafael Devers to play first base, the position he refused to play with them just days and weeks prior.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to get that, because, I mean, Gerard Encarnacion is going to play first base. Or you could put Casey Schmidt at first and put Devers at third. I'm sure Devers is likely a better option at third base than Casey Schmidt overall. I don't know.
You could, or
yes, if you want to be a huge dick, put Rafi Devers at first base. Right? Yep. Be the assholes, right? We don't mind it. Somebody's got to do it.
As if there aren't enough storylines going into that series now already.
Oh, my goodness. Right? Unbelievable. I absolutely loved, I mentioned this on the show tonight. Did you, I don't know if you TikTok at all, but, like when I'm sitting there in the morning, you got to take that morning shit. I'm scrolling through TikTok. There were a ton on Monday morning. There were a ton of Father's Day videos from the New England area of like kids breaking the news to their dad that Rafael Devers got traded. Some of the funniest shit I've seen, man. It was so good. Like, and me, I'm obviously a Yankees fan. So to see Red Sox fans like just full tilt over this deal, this is,
tell you, those dads will remember forever. You have those moments in your life that you just, not necessarily obviously major life events and stuff, but like the sports related ones, like you remember where you were when certain things happen. I remember when I got the alert when Deshaun Watson was traded from the Texans. I remember where I was. These moments in time you remember, and those dads will unfortunately remember that the day Rafael Devers was traded forever.
Other news, Shohei Ohtani. So he can't go on a rehab assignment, because then you're taking his bat out of the lineup. So he needs to throw he's tired of throwing the simulated games, needs big league action. Got the start on Monday night going up against the San Diego Padres. He was not expected to throw more than an inning. He did give up a run, but I think the more important story, the factor here, is that we weren't supposed to see Shohei Ohtani on the mound at all until after the All-Star break. Does this, are you interested in Ohtani as a pitcher at all this year?
No. Nope. I have Ohtani in TGFBI. He will never leave my utility spot. I will never put him down in a pitcher spot. Here's the thing. We said we wouldn't see him. We're going to see him. At this point, he's calling the shots. I don't even think Dave Roberts knows what Ohtani's next move is going to be. Ohtani will go in there on Wednesday and say, hey, I'm going to throw a bullpen today. I'm working up to 40 pitches next week. And Dave Roberts goes, okay, sir. And then Ohtani gets to call the shots. Like at this point, it is what it is. We should see some rust coming off the surgery. And I mean, he did take, I think it was 28 pitches to get through that one inning. So Ohtani with the bat is too important to my fantasy that he can do multiple, or he can impact multiple categories. Whereas it's going to be a while till he even gets probably past 3, 4, 5-ish innings. So I'm not really banking on him much as a pitcher the rest of the way. I still think the Dodgers should be careful with him, but I mean, at this point, he's calling the shot. So whatever he wants to do is what's going to happen.
Is MLB just like 3 steps away from becoming the NBA where superstars just get to dictate where they're playing?
Yeah. I mean, perhaps. I mean, we have Kevin Durant, comes out and was like, I would like to play for the Spurs. Obviously, no duh. I think a lot of people would like to play with that guy who's 7'14" with a 9'18" wingspan. Like, yeah, I'd want to play with that guy too. And I mean, we've seen it. The Dodgers have worked around it with some payroll stuff. But I mean, I know that I haven't been on this earth as long as others, but I have not seen a player dictate a team, a league, as much as Ohtani has. It's crazy. Like, yeah. We are truly in uncharted territory in Major League Baseball with this unicorn that we get to watch in his prime.
I don't really think we're that far off. I mean, Ohtani dictates what he does. We have Devers' situation there. I mean, we're going to have, Juan Soto was like, I'm out of here. I think that we're kind of in that spot right now where it's going to be, people are going to try and combat the Dodgers as a super team, especially if the Dodgers win the World Series this year. I'm not saying they are. It's going to be a gauntlet. But if the Dodgers win the World Series this year and they go back to back, and then they still have this team together because they still have all this money that they're not responsible for quite some time, teams are going to have to respond. And they're going to have to do something, to like get crazy with it. And I think we are going to start seeing players even who are just like, oh, this is fucked up. I don't want to see that. Oh, I'm not supposed to say that word. Oops. I think I get one. Do I get one? I get one. I just used it. Okay. I get one F-bomb per show, and I just used it here. Darn it.
Well, and also, don't forget, Aaron Savali asked for a trade. Demanded a trade.
Dude, how great was that, right? They demand a trade, and they're like, up yours, kid. Go to the White Sox. Have a blast.
I'm sure it's exactly where he thought he was going to go. There's definitely a team that can use a proven, mediocre, right-handed arm like mine. And they're like, we got the spot for you, my friend. Chicago White Sox.
Welcome to the South Side. We took Andrew Vaughn, and we don't even really need or want him.
Yeah, and as long as you just keep your ERA south of 5, you're a shoo-in in this rotation moving forward. That's it.
And then what else do we have in the news? Oh, we had Giancarlo Stanton return finally. I just don't trust the dude. I really don't. I mean, I get it. He went 2 for 4 in his debut. Everybody's like super excited. I just, again, have zero interest in him from a fantasy standpoint.
One trick pony. I mean, last year was a good year, hit power, but then he hit 233. But I mean, he's at a sub 300 OBP since 2021. Every single season. So he's not really helping you. He's going to be out there at this point. Honestly, I wouldn't even touch Stanton at all and then just load up on his player props come the postseason. That's where he shines. It's this little 3-week window where he dominates, gets excited, builds up that hype for the next fantasy season. It all comes crumbling down. Then he has a strong postseason and then their next regular season sucks. So until the playoffs, I won't be looking at anything for Stanton.
I like it. I'm with you. All right. Well, here's the funny thing, because you don't believe in Stanton. I don't believe in Stanton. We play a little something on the Fantasy Alarm Show called You Gotta Believe. And what that is basically is just, we take players who are doing well as of right now and whether or not we think that this is sustainable. So I've got some interesting ones to throw around here, Colby, just to like sit and have that conversation, whether or not we do actually believe in some of these players. We'll start with Sandy Alcantara, who didn't give up a run and a hit in the 5th inning yesterday and screwed me. But what we're looking at right now, so he did take the loss against the Phillies, but he only allowed 2 runs to them. Great lineup, right? Phillies, the entire week leading into this game, we're posting a 394 weighted on base average. They're with that was with like a 391 BABIP. So they're just putting the ball in play. They're making good contact. They're looking strong. So Alcantara only giving up 2 runs over 5 innings to them. Something interesting. That was coming off of back-to-back quality starts against the Pirates and the Rockies. Crap lineups, great performance on the mound, but everybody's talking about, you got to look at the stuff. And, what was his command looking like? And he didn't have great command in this matchup against the Phillies, but I also think that he just kind of needed a game like this to help boost his confidence a little bit more. And, and it could be wheels up for Sandy Alcantara moving forward, which I think is a great thing to watch. Do you believe in Sandy's comeback?
I believe a little bit more than I did recently. I mean, he's done what he's supposed to do against the Rockies and the Pirates. Yes, Bryce Harper wasn't in the lineup for Phillies, but there's still plenty of name talent in that lineup. So if people want to say, well, he's had a really easy schedule these last 3 starts, well, then he's done exactly what we've wanted him to do.
Right.
And that's pitch well. We can't blame him for the schedule. It's not like he goes in there in the head of the week and goes, hey, Skip, I'm going to throw Thursday this week. I know I just threw, but that's where I'm going to go. Like, we don't do it for fantasy football. Like, they don't make the schedule. They go out there. He's been performing well. He's had a great ERA, and the FIP is right in line with it. And if you look at his pitch mix, fewer fastballs, a little bit more curveballs and sliders. So maybe he's adjusting a little bit to, let's say, maybe his new fastball, if you want to call it as such. So I'm definitely buying into it a little bit. I think ultimately this is setting the stage for one, Miami's got to be stoked, because his fantasy trade value or his trade value every start is creeping up. They have to love that.
Yeah.
But for fantasy, if he can rack a couple good starts together, then get dealt to a contender, that's when I think things could get interesting. So am I scrambling to the waiver wire to get him? Maybe not immediately running. If I need some dire pitching help, sure, go ahead and take a chance on him. But if you've held on to him this long, one, kudos to you. I'd love to see what your ratios are like. You're stuck now, and I would wait through the deadline and see where he goes, because every good start is about a 10% increase at that he's getting traded. And that was already pretty high to begin with.
I traded him 4 starts ago.
Oh, so that's why the turn is happening.
That's why we got the turnaround there. All right, so we're kind of believing in Sandy Alcantara here as a pair. All right, next pitcher, here you go. Lucas Giolito throws back-to-back quality starts, no earned runs, allowed 12 over 12 innings, only no earned runs, 14 strikeouts to just 1 walk. And I believe those starts were against Seattle and Tampa Bay. Do you believe?
There's always going to be a little Jekyll and Hyde with Lucas Giolito. That's just what you have to understand, because right now he's made 5. I'll get into his home road splits, but I'll start it with this. He's made 5 starts at home this year. There is a 100% chance that he is allowing 0 earned runs or 6 or more earned runs. There's no in between. So by about the 3rd inning, you have a good idea of what start you're getting. But the home road splits are pretty gnarly. 7.66 ERA, 15% strikeout rate at home. On the road, it's sub 2 with a 27.8 K rate. And when you look at the FIP too, the FIP on the road, 2.81, still very strong. And it's only 5.17 at home, which is much better than his ERA. So he's more of a kind of I'm picking my spots with him right now, definitely attacking more of those road starts. He's been consistently better there, and the strikeouts have been better for him. But if you do look at his last couple of starts, more fastballs, less changeup, he's going to challenge more guys. So as long as you avoid him maybe against lefty heavy lineups and at home, I think you can run him out there. But it's just the Lucas Giolito experience is always going to be some pretty good highs and some pretty devastating lows.
It's kind of like owning a pitcher who plays for Colorado, right? You never want to start him at home. You'll look at him on the road if the matchup's right. The secondary offerings for Giolito, not great. I mean, the fastball looks fine. The velocity looks fine. The cutter looks okay. But, yeah, the changeup and the slider, they definitely, need some work. He just doesn't look like he's got full command of that slider. And whether or not he can make that, throw that as his out pitch, yet to be determined. You're probably going to end up seeing, because, that's one of the things that Craig Breslow loves, right? He loves having his guys just throw their breaking stuff. Don't worry about the fastballs. Just throw the breaking stuff. I don't necessarily know if that's going to last for Giolito. Now, the next guy here, this is a guy who you and I, we were on in the preseason. I know I still love him, but he has hurt me. There's no doubt about it. I'm talking about Jose Soriano, right? I mean, talk about up and down. But we love a guy with a high ground ball rate and a high strikeout rate. Like, that's what we're looking for. He's thrown back-to-back quality starts, 1 earned run over 14 innings, 18 strikeouts in those 14 innings, only 3 walks. Shut out the Yankees on Monday night. That is, I'd say it's tough to do, but Kyle Hendricks is doing a good job of it also, and he sucks. But Jose Soriano, more Jekyll and Hyde here? Are we just cherry-picking starts? Because I tried cherry-picking starts, and I sat him against the Yankees.
I wouldn't blame you for sitting him against the Yankees. That's just a powerhouse offense. But I actually really like what Soriano's done. It's, if you want to nitpick, the little bit of gnarly home road splits and the strikeouts haven't traveled well away from home, which is kind of interesting. But numbers under the hood are good. 3.71 FIP at home, 3.16 on the road. And here's the thing. He had that horrible start against Boston with 7 earned runs. But over his last 10 starts, he's allowed 3 or fewer earned runs in 9 of those 10, with that 7-run shellacking being the only one that it was more than 3. But over his last 10 starts, 3.14 ERA, 2.86 FIP, and that's including that Boston game. So I think there's a lot to like with Soriano. Would love to see him get some more wins. The good thing with him is that, other than the blow up against Boston, he doesn't allow home runs. So he's not going to, I don't think he's going to have a lot of these disastrous outings. Sure, he might hang out 3, 4, 5 earned runs in a given start here or there, but extreme ground ball pitcher. I think the strikeouts will start to come at home, but they're at least there on the road. So of the 3 pitchers that we've talked about so far, Soriano is closer. I think I believe in him the most of these 3. And then it's Alcantara and then Giolito a little bit below that.
Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. One more pitcher, and this one's going to hurt a little bit because this one's going to hit home. Mike Burrows. Talk to me here. 1.8 ERA with 20 strikeouts over 15 innings in the month of June. This is after he went up again. He posted an 8.64 ERA in the month of May. Now, these starts that he's done, Houston, Miami, terrible. Cubs in Wrigley, strong outing for him there. Do you believe in Mike Burrows?
I talk a lot on this. If you search through the transcript, you'll hear me say former Pittsburgh great a lot, but current Pittsburgh great, Mike Burrows. Solid over the last couple of starts, 1.80 ERA, 1.87 FIP. Changeup has an elite 30.5% swinging strike rate, which is awesome. Here's my only thing with Burrows. I don't know how far Pittsburgh pushes him this year. Because when you look at the numbers, he did have Tommy John surgery with just 6.2 innings in 2023, jumped to 54 2/3 last year, and he's already between AAA and the majors. He's already at 55 2/3 this year. He's younger. Does Pittsburgh really want to push him too far? We know, with at least with prospects getting to the majors, they've slow played them at times. So what if Pittsburgh even doubles his innings from last year? We're looking at about 108, 110. We're about 45 innings away from that. I could see them slowing down a little bit, especially if this 2025 season gets away from them a little bit. So I like Burrows for now, but I do think an innings limit is coming and his role is going to change potentially a little bit past the All-Star break. Maybe they'll let him go a little bit further, but I'm just not convinced that they're letting him go out there and get to 130 or 140 innings this week. I think that'd be a little foolish given the recent Tommy John and just a couple. That'd be a pretty big jump in workload from last year.
When the hell is Bubba Chandler coming up? Come on. I need an answer.
He'll probably get traded to Boston. Just like another guy who got traded to Boston has now become excellent that we'll talk about a little bit later. At this point for Bubba Chandler, it feels like we're in the Boston territory with Roman Anthony, where it's like they're looking for reasons just to keep him down, and they're going to come up with dumb stuff just to keep him there. I do believe his last couple of starts haven't been great down in the minors, so they're probably holding that against him for whatever reason, despite being excellent all year. I'm looking at his numbers here, and let's see. Yeah, he's gone only 2 innings, then he only went 2/3 of an inning with 4 walks. I'm sure they'll keep him down for 3 months because of that. So I would say if I had to guess, man, my pessimism is taking over and my wheels are turning in my head. I'm gonna say after the All-Star break.
After the All-Star break.
Reluctantly
Thanks,
after the
Colby.
All-Star break. Listen, I'm not happy of it, but he walked 4 guys. He only got 2 out. So if you take 4 minus 2, that gives you 2. They'll probably say, well, that's going to cost you 2.5 weeks. So per walk. So now we're at 5 weeks, basically after the All-Star break. So just some napkin math.
There you go. I appreciate that. Right?
And that makes absolutely no sense, which is right up their alley.
Pirates math is what you're saying.
Exactly. He'll draw attendance and tickets.
Yeah. Right after we finish shitting all over our past, then we'll bring him up. All right, so you got to believe a little bit of here. Jose Soriano, yes. Sandy Alcantara, yes. Lucas Giolito, no. Mike Burrows, not really. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, Burrows, the player, yes. The situation, no.
Okay. Let's do a couple of hitters here. I'll start off with Marcus Semien. 34-year-old second baseman for the Texas Rangers. Seemed to have fallen off of a cliff. Never really got back on track this year until the calendar flips to June. Now here in June, he's slashing 354, 418, 667 with 3 home runs and 2 stolen bases. So 2 weeks of yummy delish, sustainable, buy low target here before people start getting wise to him. What do you think?
There's some appeal. It seems like at this point, his career stolen base are going to come in bunches. Like he hardly ran at all in the beginning of the year. And now over like the last 2 weeks or dating back to May 16th, so almost a month, he's got about 5 of his 8 or so stolen bases on the year. So I don't really buy the speed. I think his strikeout rate is going to be closer to 20% this year than the 14-ish% it's been the last couple of years. But all of his expected stats are outperforming his actual stats. The batted ball data looks fine. I think it's just going to be, it's kind of a weird way to say it, but it's going to be a Marcus Semien-esque year from his better years, but just a step below that. So I think there's enough to rebound, but what I think we're looking at for him, maybe 18 homers, 14-ish stolen bases by the end of the year. He's not going to get to the 2015 area, so he's a step below that. And I do think his strikeout rate is going to be closer to 20% than the 14% of years past.
Where does his batting average finish up here, Colby? Let me just see where he's at right now is 224. Where do you see him finishing the season? 250?
No. He'll be, I'll say he's going to be about 241. The Chris Davis average, 241.
All right. So nothing great coming here from Marcus Semien.
Yeah, and then the lineup just hasn't been what it's been in years past, so those counting stats aren't really going to help him out. So think honestly, 2018 Marcus Semien when he went 15 and 14 or 15 homers, 14 stolen bases, knock a couple runs and RBIs off that and a couple points off the batting average. That's about what we're going to get this year.
Well, how long has Corey Seager been back now for them? How many games has Corey Seager played? He's played. Okay, so he came back May 28th. Can we actually say that? Can we talk about the fact that maybe that's the turnaround? Maybe Marcus Semien needs Corey Seager in the lineup to actually hit well?
Perhaps if you go off that May 28th date, as many walks or strikeouts, 383 BABIP, 220 WRC plus. I mean, maybe that's the key. Maybe Corey Seager is what unlocks Marcus Semien.
Maybe. All right. Food for thought. One more hitter here. Let's go to Kansas City. Maikel Garcia. Now, Garcia has currently matched his career high in home runs, 7. But he did that in 70 games now so far. His isolated power mark sitting at 168. His career best ISO, 101. Is this, well, because here's the funny thing. I could sit there and I can just dismiss it and say, no. But then you take a look at a guy like Yandy Diaz, who in his age 31 season changed his launch angle and suddenly became this crazy good hitter for a year. is Maikel Garcia on that path, or do you just think that this is just like you got what you got out of him, and anything else you get more than a 240 average and a home run or two? Like that's what you're looking at.
Of these guys, this is the one I believe in the most.
Really?
I think there's some. I don't know if this is a word. There's some legitimism.
Legitimacy?
No, come on. Everyone knows that word. There is some. We'll use your word because it's
legitimization.
Lame. There's some. Yeah, I like that one better. There's this is legit. I think when you look even if you want to say he's outperforming because he's got a 477 slug right now, his X slug is 433. That's still higher than the past couple of years. The bat speed continues to go up. The launch angle is up, and hard hit rate is up. So if he's going to hit the ball harder and higher, I like that for home run trajectory. I do not think he's a 20 home run guy. Don't get me wrong, but I do think, I mean, if you look right now, basically double his numbers, he's going to be a 14 homer, 30 steal guy. Add an extra home run in there. I think we're looking at Maikel Garcia being like a 15 to 17 home run guy with 30 plus stolen bases. I think this is legit.
You love this guy. All right, good to know. Very good to know. All right, well, I'll tell you what, that's how we're going to start doing it. We're going to have to just start figuring out if we believe in some of the hot streaks and if we don't, because we've got, a month and a half of baseball, no, a little less than a month and a half of baseball before the trade deadline picks up and everything gets really hung out to dry and crazy. So I like it. That was a little episode of You Gotta Believe podcast style. Colby, let's talk waiver wire action here. Let's give the people a couple of names that they can start taking a look at, because again, this is Tuesday we're recording. Wednesday this will be released, which means Thursday, Friday, Saturday, who are the players that we're watching to possibly pick up? Who do you like? We'll start with hitters first.
Yeah, and speaking of hitters, first I want to apologize to Matt McClain. He did get my more than 3 fantasy points by walking and getting hit by a pitch. That is how I managed to
leaned into it like Rudy Stein in the original Bad News Bears.
He knew what to do. So I just first off want to apologize to him for that. But waiver wire guys, Christian Moore, just another young talent that the Angels have fast tracked through. I think he's very toolsy. The raw power is very good, but the strikeout's going to be a problem. The batting average is going to be an issue. So just keep that in mind. You might get some power, but just get ready for a 210, 220 batting average. So if you can't afford that batting average, don't look his way. If you need the batting average help, Miguel Vargas was a guy I've loved for the past couple of years. Now he finally gets an everyday role, hit safely in 7 of his last 8, hitting 300, 667 slug. And during that stretch, if you play in OBP leagues, double-digit walk rate, 2 home runs and 1 stolen base over his last 8. Miguel Vargas doing a little bit of everything.
Ew.
That's where we're at. That's where we're at, my friend. That's what the season has brought us.
Ew.
Yep.
What about some pitchers? Who do you like?
Yeah, this one's pretty chalk. We'll start this probably available on most, but Jacob Misiorowski is still available. I would go pick him up. I do have some concerns. First and foremost, what was the problem with him in the minors? Walks. What happened his first start? 4 walks in 5 innings. He's got to control the walks. And one other thing is interesting too, 2023, 71 innings, 2024, 97 innings. He's already at 68 for the year. How far does Milwaukee push their top pitching prospect? 120 innings. So we're looking at 40 some more. Do they know that they can use him as a starter long-term, but to preserve his arm, put him as a reliever and let him be elite and dominant there? So depending on if your team needs the actual innings in bulk, Misiorowski might be a guy you pick up, capitalize on a couple of starts, look to send him out and sell high before the inevitable talk about the innings limit comes. But a lot to like with him. I did write up Jack Leiter, but I'm going to verbally scratch him off because he has struggled tonight with Kansas City. 3 innings, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, and 1 strikeout as we're recording this on Tuesday. So not really digging that. 0 walks, though, is about the only positive that we can take from that. And then I do want to shout out former Pittsburgh great Quinn Priester.
No.
Yep. Milwaukee has said, screw your 4-seamer. You're throwing sinker and a new cutter. that's what you're going to do. And I mean, yes, he did allow 7 earned runs to the Cubs, but 2.23 ERA and 58.5% ground ball rate. There's not much strikeouts with him, but the ground ball rate is elite. And he does help ratios outside of strikeouts because he just simply doesn't walk batters all that often, I should say. So Milwaukee's going to leave him in the rotation. So former Pittsburgh and Boston great, Quinn Priester.
I can't even say that with a straight face, but okay. All right, so there you have it there, fantasy baseballers. We got you covered here. Players you got to believe in, possible trade targets there. And then here you go, hitting the waiver wire with Colby Conway. James Grande does the waiver wire article over at fantasyalarm.com. You want to check that out. Colby does the injury report, and every time he talks about an injured player, he obviously tells you also who's going to be the person who's picking up the extra at-bats over there. So check out all the work that we've got over at fantasyalarm.com. And if you are a fantasy football player, our NFL draft guide is live right now. Colby's pointing to the QR code. Well, that's our 7-day free trial. So, well, no, you can keep pointing to it. I'll say it right now. Here you go. fantasyalarm.com/win. Right. Use the promo code LETSGO. We'll take 50% off of your first month. That includes you getting a 7-day free trial. Take it for a spin. Get the 7-day free trial, and that'll automatically include the draft guide. So you'll be able to check all of that out. I just posted an article in that draft guide for fantasy football rookies to pay attention to. So everything we've got going on over there at the website, you're going to want to get a piece of. Trust me on that. As far as the rest of our fantasy baseball night goes, I'm going to go sit there and watch and see if my Yankees can get a freaking hit off of Kyle Cy Young Hendricks now. So if I'm not back next week, it's because they didn't, and I probably killed myself.
Yep. And I am going to go look at that fantasy football rookies to watch article and see which of Jaden Higgins or Jalen Noel made the article. So I'll be looking forward to reading that.
Neither.
Maybe I won't be here next week either.
Still don't know what's going on over there. That's a whole other conversation for another time. But we thank everybody for tuning in. Again, if you're watching on the YouTubes here, hit that like and subscribe button. And if you're listening on podcast, give us a 5-star review. I don't know. I think that would be a super nice thing to do. Just a kind of nice free way of saying, I love you, Colby Conway. You do good work. But that's going to do it for us here on Caught Stealing. We thank you all for tuning in. For Colby Conway, I'm Howard Bender. We'll catch you next time.